The LG G4 is quite possibly the most impressive phone I have ever used. And that's saying a lot, coming from a longtime iPhone user. Actually, since 2007, to be specific. Hello guys, how are you? David DeFranco here from daviddefranco.com with finally my review of the LG G4. This phone has been blowing my mind and I'm so excited to finally talk about it in detail, so let's just get started right away. Okay guys, so as usual, I like to break my videos down into pros and cons. That in my opinion makes it the easiest to follow along. So let's get started with the pros. Pro number one, I gotta say the LG G4 is a beautiful device, especially from the perspective of not only its specs, but also its cameras. Oh, the cameras, the cameras, the cameras! Let's talk about that in detail in a bit. But first, let's go over some specs. Okay, so the LG G4 has a beautiful 5.5-inch display with an awesome resolution of 2560 by 1440 with a pixel density of 538 pixels per inch. Wait guys, hold on. Look at me for a second. Yes, I said that correctly. 2560 by 1440. That's the same resolution as my 27-inch Asus displays, which are right behind me. We are truly living in some incredibly amazing times. Anyway, let's get back to this. The LG G4 also features a 16 megapixel rear camera with a 1.8 aperture, laser autofocus, and support for RAW. But of course, that is not it. We also have an 8 megapixel front camera with a 2.0 aperture. Okay, so speaking in terms of specific specs, that's a mouthful. We have a 1.8 gigahertz 64-bit Snapdragon 808 CPU with 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, but you can max it out to 2 terabytes of storage using the included micro SD slot. Yes, 2 terabytes on a single micro SD card. And finally, last but not least, the LG G4 does feature a 3000 milliamp removable battery. More on that in a bit. Now, speaking in terms of connectivity, the LG G4 features a ton of options, including Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.1, NFC, 4K SLIM ports, which is new to me, but it's very interesting. I mean, I have not used it myself because I don't have a 4K display. But if you have a 4K display, then boom, 4K supports is there. But you also get GPS and USB 2.0. Now let's get to the real experience of the LG G4. Specs are awesome and all, but without a quality and consistent OS experience, then you've got nothing. And guys, believe me, this next part of this review is significant. I have been a longtime iOS user since 2007. Yes, since the first original iPhone. I'm a proud iOS user and I don't see that changing from a primary perspective. But in terms of using the LG G4 as a secondary device, I am very pleased to say that I am honestly loving Android. Now, it's not as consistent as iOS, but from the perspective of being able to customize pretty much every single aspect, Android 5.1 Lollipop, it is truly awesome. Okay, so I'm not gonna focus on Android too much in this video because this is about the LG G4 and its hardware and its specs and all that good stuff. But with that said, if you do wanna see a video from me in the future all about Android and what I like and don't like about it, let me know right below and click that like button. That's just simply my way of getting people to be more interactive, so don't let me down. Okay, so back to the review. Let's talk about the cameras. The cameras, in my opinion, are easily the biggest reason why you should be buying the LG G4. The cameras on this thing just blew my freaking mind. And I know that's not the technical way of putting things, but I was that impressed, especially with the rear camera. Again, 16 megapixel resolution, and keep in mind, megapixels are not everything. It comes down to the optics, and especially the OS. It simply comes down to the OS and how it takes advantage of the optics. And Android Lollipop does not disappoint. I absolutely loved taking pictures with the LG G4. And actually, with that said, I recorded an entire weekend vlog using only the LG G4. So from a video perspective, I gotta say it did a great job. The video stabilization was kind of weak in my opinion, but quality overall was very good. But speaking in terms of audio, I gotta be honest, audio was definitely the least impressive aspect of these cameras. But speaking in terms of photography, man, the LG G4 is honestly the most impressive phone I have ever used in terms of using it as a camera. From macro to landscape to even the front-facing camera, I was just overall very, very impressed. And guys, let's face it, a lot of people buy phones nowadays for the main purpose of not using it as a phone, but using it as a camera. And of course, I have to mention this because this is very important to some people. Now, honestly, I did not use this aspect of the LG G4 too much, and well, perhaps I'll even make a video on just about this, and that is the manual controls and support for RAW. Yes, you heard me correctly. You can actually shoot in RAW using the LG G4. That alone is just an incredible accomplishment and definitely something you need to explore in detail. But enough good things about the LG G4. I mean, this phone is downright incredible, but of course, there are a few things that I was disappointed with. Number one, battery life. A lot of people said the battery life was really impressive on the G4, but guys, being perfectly honest, I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything amazing. I mean, it was certainly better than my iPhone 5S, which is what I'm usually used to dealing with. But still, I mean, for someone like myself who enjoys taking photos and recording videos, the LG G4's battery definitely drained quicker than I was expecting. However, this is not a huge deal because unlike my iPhone, the LG G4 actually supports removable batteries. So yes, you can easily swap your battery, take out your old one, put in a new one, and boom, you have a 100% charged battery, just like that. Okay, so the next thing I did not like about the LG G4, and this is something that cannot be fixed unless you find some kind of flat case, and that is the back of the LG G4 is curved. I'm not a big fan of curved phones, at least from the back. Mainly because sometimes I like to use my phone when it's flat on a desk. Now obviously this is completely relative to you and how you prefer to use your devices. But there are often those times where my phone is sitting next to me on the desk and I simply want to text someone real quick, or sometimes there are those moments where I want to do a quick swipe with my finger, and well, because the phone is curved, it'll kind of rock back and forth. And finally, last but not least, again, this is completely relative, the G4, it is a little large for my tastes. Now, I'm not saying this only because it's not an iPhone, because believe me, when I buy the iPhone 6S in October or whenever it's going to come out, I will not be going for the Plus model because I honestly believe 5.5 inches is a little large for a phone. Now again, completely relative because my dad loves his iPhone 6 Plus. My mom even loves her iPhone 6 Plus. So I know there is a market out there for large phones. But personally speaking, I think I'll be fine with a 4.7 inch display. So as of right now, 5.5 inches is a little large. Oh, and by the way, do not get me wrong, the display is beautiful and it's not going to stop me from using this phone. It's just 5.5 inches. I could definitely use something a little smaller. But overall, guys, let me give you my final verdict. If you're looking for a kick-ass phone with a ton of features, especially if cameras are important to you, the LG G4 does not disappoint. Let me make that clear. It does not disappoint. I'm enjoying Android, I'm enjoying the cameras, and I'm especially enjoying the fact that I'm trying something new. So finally, huge thanks to LG for hooking me up with the G4. And by the way, the case I'm using is a $10 case from Ringke. Not really sure, but it's Ringke SLIM. It leaves some fingerprints and smudges, as you can probably see, but for $10, this case is definitely quite awesome. So for your convenience, I will be linking this case and this phone right below on Amazon. And of course, don't forget, let me know if you want to see any future videos about the LG G4, because honestly, I still have a lot more to say. I just kind of focused on the basics for this video. So let me know. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.